How's it going, guys? This is Jack here with the Commanders Wire, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the linebacker free agents that the Commanders could be looking into signing for this free agency cycle. We already know that we have Jordan McGee and Frankie Louvu as probably our most likely starters that are already signed on the roster. However, I would not be surprised if they go out and get a #1 guy to replace Bobby Wagner in this Commanders defense under new defensive coordinator Durante Jones. As we know that the free agency cycle starts here in about a week. Next Monday, March 9th, is the first day that teams are allowed to start talking to players and handshake agreements to sign players, and then they're able to officially make moves Wednesday the 11th, but we'll start hearing about things on Monday. So I'm just going to keep saying Monday is going to be that starting date for free agency, as well as the start of the new league year. Before we get into today's video, I really would appreciate if you guys would go down below, drop a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to know when I post next, and you guys will be notified whenever I post a video regarding the Washington Commanders just like this. And without further ado, let's get right into today's video. The first guy we have on our list is going to be someone that a lot of us know very well. It's going to be Devin Lloyd, the linebacker formerly with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is 6'3", 235 pounds, 27 years old, a former first-round pick. And this year for the Jaguars, he had 81 total tackles, 35 of those being solo, 1.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 5 interceptions, and 7 passes deflected. I think Devin Lloyd would be a home run hit of a free agency addition for the Washington Commanders. We know that the Washington Commanders have a lot of cap space, and unfortunately the Jacksonville Jaguars do not have a lot of cap space, so they're going to have to make some tough decisions on some pending free agents they have. Other guys like Travis Etienne, there's a couple corners that they have coming off the book, so they're definitely going to have to make some tough decisions on who they want to bring back and who they want to let walk. And I can see Devin Lloyd being one of those players that they unfortunately will have to let walk because he just wants too much money. But thankfully, the Washington Commanders have a lot of money to spend, so I could see Devin Lloyd being an addition here with the Washington Commanders. He'll take over that new Mike linebacker position alongside Frankie Louvu and maybe Jordan McGee. We know that Durante Jones says he wants to be multiple in his scheme up front, whether it's a 3-4, 4-3, they're going to be mixing in a lot of different coverages. However, I think for the main part, especially what they ran in Minnesota when he was the passing game coordinator there, was a lot of 3-4. So I assume that it's going to be what they run most of the time. So I think that having as many good linebackers on the team as possible is going to be the best case scenario for the Washington Commanders. And that means that if adding Devin Lloyd, you won't be taken away from young guys' reps like Jordan McGee. The next guy I have on the list is going to be Leo Chenal, linebacker formerly with the Kansas City Chiefs. He stands at 6'3", 250 pounds. He's 25 years old, a former third-round pick. And this year for the Chiefs, he had 58 total tackles, 25 of those being solo, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 passes deflected. I think Leo Chenal is definitely an underrated linebacker. I think he did a very good job with the Chiefs. I think he was one of those guys that was just really good in the locker room, a really good communicator on the field, and I think he'd be a great addition alongside Frankie Louvu and Jordan McGee. I think Jordan McGee is going to be definitely that starting Mike linebacker. I think Leo Chenal is more of a Will or Sam linebacker, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that adding Leo Chenal would definitely be a solid option alongside Frankie Louvu on the outside as a linebacking trio, and then maybe they add another guy, whether it be in free agency or in the draft, to be kind of that thumper in the middle alongside Jordan McGee. The next guy I'm going to go over is definitely someone that's a little more underrated. He unfortunately did not get to play this year. However, that's going to be Micah McFadden. He stands at 6'2", 232 pounds, 26 years old, former 5th-round pick, and he played with the Giants most notably last year and the year before that. That last year, he only played in 1 game. He recorded 3 total tackles, those being solo, and I think that's it. However, in 2024, he had 107 tackles, 60 of those being solo, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass deflected. So I think Micah McFadden is definitely going to be a guy that you could definitely bring in at the end of free agency. He does not really want a lot of money. I think he's only going to be recording about $2.5 million according to Spot Track. So he could be someone that you bring in right away, and definitely will be a guy to pair with Frankie Louvu, Jordan McGee, and then you probably can go and get another top name to be that other Mike linebacker for the Washington Commanders. Then you have a very solid linebacking room in order to start with this Durante Jones style defense. This next guy is another guy that a lot of Commanders fans really want to see here in Washington, D.C. That is going to be Devin Bush. He stands at 5'11", 235 pounds, 27 years old, former first-round pick. And this year for the Cleveland Browns, he had 125 total tackles, 63 of those being solo, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and 8 passes deflected. I think this is another guy. Besides Devin Lloyd, Devin Bush is going to be a top priority for the Washington Commanders. I think the stats just speak for himself. He's a tackle machine. Obviously, we had Bobby Wagner this year, but Devin Bush is someone that could come in and just be a solid linebacker on the outside alongside Frankie Louvu, and I think that they would be a very solid duo as outside linebackers that are doing really good in coverage, are doing really good blitzing, and I think they'd be a very solid team there in the middle of the defense. So Devin Bush is another guy that's very high up on my list. This next guy is going to be more of like the athletic profile. However, I think he's lacking a little bit on the decision-making skills as a linebacker. That's going to be Quay Walker. Stands at 6'4", 241 pounds, 25 years old, former first-round pick out of Georgia. And this year for the Packers, he had 128 total tackles, 58 of those being solo, 2.5 sacks, and 5 passes deflected. I think he's just a super athletic linebacker, but I've seen over the course of the season there's just been some mistakes mentally. I don't know if his decision-making skills on the field are the best in the world. I think he's a very similar player to like a Sonny Styles. They're both athletic freaks of linebackers, but when it comes to decision-making, they may not be there all the way developed. Quay Walker's still only 25 years old. He got drafted 4 years ago, 2022. He's only 21 when that happened, so he still has a lot of room to grow, and especially if he does come to the Washington Commanders, you may be able to get him for pretty cheap, maybe about $8 million or so. And if not, I think there's a lot of other guys you could be looking towards in this free agency class. But Quay Walker is definitely someone that has the athletic profile to be a solid Mike linebacker in this Durante Jones defense, alongside Jordan McGee, Frankie Louvu, and potentially another guy that you want to add this offseason. I'm a really big fan of Quay Walker and his athleticism. Another guy really known for his athleticism is Nakobe Dean. Stands at 5'11", 231 pounds, still also 25 years old, former third-round pick out of Georgia. And this year for the Eagles, he was a little banged up early in the season. He only recorded 55 total tackles, 30 of those being solo, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 pass deflected. So I think Nakobe Dean will be a solid athletic style linebacker. We know that Durante Jones is a really big fan of those athletic linebackers. A little undersized at 5'11", but I think that he brings the right play style that Durante Jones is looking for in this type of scheme that he's bringing to the Commanders. I think he'd be a solid thumper in the middle alongside Jordan McGee and Frankie Louvu, and potentially another guy on the outside as well, pairing with Frankie Louvu. I think that you really cannot go wrong with Nakobe Dean. He definitely still has more room to grow as a linebacker, more room to grow with decision-making skills, but fortunately enough for the entire defense, they're going to be all learning a new scheme. So they're going to be all learning together how to implement the Durante Jones scheme. So some of the mental things that may be issues for some of the players I've listed here before could get tweaked out once the practices start with the entire team, as the entire team is adapting to a new style of defense. So they can all learn together, and hopefully that allows them all to be better players mentally on the field once the 2026 season starts. And the last guy I have on the list is going to be an older veteran. However, I think that he has the bright mental side of the game in order to be a solid linebacker for the Washington Commanders, even if it's as a backup. And that's going to be Eric Wilson, former linebacker with the Minnesota Vikings. He stands at 6'1", 230 pounds. He is 31 years old. And I know Adam Peters wants to get this team younger, and I do as well. However, Eric Wilson already knows this Durante Jones type of defense. For the Vikings, he had 115 total tackles, 60 of those being solo, four forced fumbles, and he just, like I said before, already knows this type of defense. And even if it's as a backup, I think adding Eric Wilson to this linebacking room really will help the Washington Commanders this offseason just install this new type of defense. So I think adding him there as a voice in the middle on the field will help Jordan McGee, Frankie Louvu, and a couple other linebackers you bring in this offseason to understand this new defense. I can see you bringing in like Eric Wilson and then like a Nakobe Dean, or Eric Wilson and a Quay Walker, just two guys that are able to just to fill out the ranks as we need more linebackers, more athletic linebackers in this linebacker room, and just allow to have someone there in the middle like Eric Wilson to kind of be that guy to bridge the gap between Durante Jones and the rest of the players to install this new type of defense. So even though he's older, even though he's definitely getting up there in age, and his skill level is definitely declining, however, Eric Wilson still has that mental side of the game that I want to bring to the locker room, even if he's not on the field all the time. But that is my list. I have 7 linebackers I think the Commanders could look into getting this offseason. Wanted to get this out there before free agency starts next week. We'll have one more video about free agency and potential free agents along the edge rusher position, one of the most important for this offseason, so I wanted to save it toward the end. But let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on these 7 linebackers that I have collected here. Are you guys fans of these linebackers? Do you guys want to stay away from some of these linebackers? Just let me know down in the comments. I think overall I'm a pretty big fan of all these linebackers. There are definitely names I like better than others. However, just let me know down in the comments what your thoughts and opinions are below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys sticking with me to the very end. Go down below, drop a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, as well as drop a comment. You guys will be notified whenever I post another Commanders video just like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and hail to the Commanders.